if it goes. Okay, I'm live on YouTube. Cool, we're good. Live on both. Could you reshare?
Yep.
Okay. Hi guys. So I'm gonna take off the mask, so the deaf community can read my lips because I can't sign fast enough. Sorry. Okay, it's been a sad week. We can't really say much about it right now, but basically we have to shut down the store, and we only have until October. When are we actually closing it? Are we going all the way to the 15th?
I think we hand off on the 15th to the 14th.
We hand off on the 15th, so we're probably going to be like finished on the 14th. And we can't really talk too much about it publicly right now, but it's kind of out of our hands. Like, it's really sad, and we don't want to have to shut down the store, but we don't really have a choice. And it's pretty much breaking my heart, but I we don't know what else to do here. We fought tooth and nail to keep this store going for 3 years, and it couldn't have been at the worst time, and somehow we seem to have pulled it out of the fire every single time. But what's currently happening is just too much for both me and Yogi, and I don't know. We gotta end it. It's just the end of an era. Yeah, it's kind of breaking my heart. But we've got, I don't know, 2 more shows, I think, after this. So 2 more weeks of shows and comic reviews, and then we're going to have a sort of a going away party with, we're going to have cosplayers, the usual, like, Rebel Alliance, and we might have the 501st. We'll see. You never know with the 501st. But we'll go out with style. And, come through. You'll get a bunch of sales, and we'll, talk comics with us, talk shop. But I wish I had better news for all of you regarding that, but it's just, I don't know. I'm going to get choked up if I keep talking about it, so we should just, I guess, get on with it. Pop culture nerd.
Pop culture, damn.
Star Wars Vision starts tonight. Oh, no. All episodes drop tonight.
Star Wars Visions. That's the Star Wars anime?
Yes.
All episodes drop tonight. I don't know if I'm going to get time to watch it. And then tonight we have a What If. What's the What If tonight?
Party Thor.
Party Thor. All right. Isn't he already Party Thor?
I mean, like, more so.
Yeah.
I guess would be the right way to put it.
Yeah. Anything else? Guardians. We're on the last issue of Guardians. Yes. We know that. It's very sad.
Yeah.
Anything else? I can't either. There's a Naomi panel at DC Connect, and we're hoping that we get the. They'd be crazy not to drop the trailer then, right? It has to be dropping the trailer then. Somebody messaged you something weird. I don't know, but okay. Anyway, so we'll get to the reviews. First book on the list for this week is Kyle Higgins, Marcelo Costa with Natalia Marquez and Becca Carey, and we're talking about Radiant Black. Now, we've seen so much from this comic, and it's gone in a way we didn't expect. The main character actually, one of them died and power got transferred, and then he's kind of not dead, but we're still, there's so much all over the place, and the team can't quite get it together yet, and meanwhile they're fighting the actual, what's his name, the Ultra Radiant?
Something like that.
Some weird name. All you have to know is it's the Green Ranger, essentially. And they're struggling to keep up while they're also sort of discovering their powers. This is honestly a really, really, really fun comic, and if you just needed a slight boost to, just a bit more superpower in your Power Rangers, that's what you're getting here, and it kind of makes sense from this creative team. I mean, they've worked on Power Rangers, but that's what it feels like. It just feels like a more adult version of Power Rangers to me, and I'm loving it. You will too. The art is great. The story is fun, and honestly, I like the current Radiant Black. I think I like him more than the original character.
Yeah, it was like his friend that took over.
It was his friend that took over, but his friend really wanted the mantle and kind of got it, so it works. Plus the pink one being able to teleport everywhere. She's kind of a fun character. Next is Patrick Kinlaw, Marco Ferrari, and we're talking about Frontiersmen. Now, this is a weird book, and I don't mean bad. I just mean I didn't quite like the premise is strange. It's sort of like, how do I describe this? Daniel Boone meets Mary Shelley, sort of. It feels like an anarchist primitive sort of story, which kind of makes sense because they reference Timothy McVeigh, the Unabomber. Was it McVeigh? No, Kaczynski. McVeigh was the Oklahoma City bomber.
Yes.
I've got my bombers confused. The Unabomber was Ted Kaczynski. So they reference him on like the first page, which he was an anarchist primitive and prim. He didn't like technology. And so this kind of makes sense. It's sort of Daniel Boone. The guy looks like Daniel Boone, and he's living in the forest, and he's killing robots, which is weird. So we're dealing with a high-tech society on that. And honestly, the thing that sold me on this book was the narrative. The narrative's really fun. The art is good. The story is it's just weird. It's kind of a strange take on it. And his look, he's wearing a coonskin cap with eye holes cut into it. It's such a strange hero. I like it, and more importantly, like at the end of the story, the writer leaving like details about how the character came to be was really kind of intriguing, and I think that alone is worth checking it out. It's a good number one. It's strange. That's all I'm gonna tell you is you gotta like a little weird in your comics. Most people do. Next is Sarah Gailey, P.S. Bach, and Roman Titov, and I want to show you this before I go on. So let me dig this other book out, the variant for this. I don't know. This is an error, and I think people should know this error because sometimes errors are worth money. This is Eat the Rich, issue number 2. Now, Eat the Rich, it sounds like like anti-capitalist type stuff, but actually this centers around a gal she's dating a sort of a silver spoon kind of guy, and she's got to go on a family retreat, and it's sort of a send off for a guy who's retiring. And when the guy finishes his ceremony at the end of the first issue, she goes outside and sees him literally be killed and eaten by the other rich people there. And she's like, I've stumbled into a cult, and there's problems, and that's where this book picks off. Was after that. Now, the art is great. The story is super intriguing, very twisted, and it went in an unexpected direction, so I liked it. But what I will tell you is that if you get this variant here, it says Eat the Rich, and for whatever reason, it's labeled number 1, but this is issue 2. So this variant is mislabeled. So I don't know. Sometimes misprints are worth money, but if you go out and you buy this variant of Eat the Rich number 2, it's going to be labeled number 1. So just so you know, it's on our shelves. Was the comic good? Yeah, it was good. It basically is the day after and what she's witnessed and the implications that are going to have the fallout from it. It's very frightening. What, you want to take that?
Nope, it's already gone.
Oh, it's right here.
Oh, Rich.
Yeah, that's the variant. There you go. Okay. Next is Scott Francavilla, Levins, and Kirchhoff, and we're talking about Star Wars Adventures Ghosts of Vegas Castle. Now, these come out always right around Halloween, and they're essentially Star Wars horror stories that tend to center around Mustafar, which was where Vader's castle was. And they're all a little bit dark, but they're also slightly aimed at kids, so you don't get too much darkness in them. This one, I'm going to sum it up into one thing, and you're going to think it's weird, but what if the droids got infected like zombies? That's what you get in this. That's the premise for it. I can almost guarantee that's how it was sold. And was it fun? Yeah, it was actually kind of fun. I had a good time with it. It was a bit of a twisted story, and there's also the whole shaky narrator trope that's at play in this one. It's pretty good, and I know we're going to get a couple more issues, so I kind of want to see where it's going. But the art was okay. It was nothing to write home about. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It did feel like standard Vader's Castle art. And if you know what that type of art is, then you probably know if you like it or not. Next is Sachs, Villanelli, and Prianto, and what are the Bounty Hunters? Bounty Hunters, issue number 16. Now, I don't like Valance, and I have vocalized that. I do, however, like Boba Fett. But one thing I gotta tell you, what do you expect to have happen with the Bounty Hunters when they're all sort of working together? They're all gonna betray each other, and I saw it coming. And granted, there are other comics that do that a lot, like like Vampire the Masquerade that's out this week. The vampires do betray each other, but there are twists. There are twists to it, like people coming back to life that you thought were dead, or like other people. With the Star Wars Bounty Hunters, there's no surprises here. And I don't like the Valance character. I'm rooting for Boba Fett whenever they're fighting, and honestly, Boba Fett has disappointed me in that. He hasn't killed Valance once, and that character is ridiculously annoying. He should be off in him. But okay, if you like Star Wars: The Bounty Hunters, you're probably going to like this. If you are anyone else, I think this is the worst Star Wars title on our shelves right now. It's not my jam. I keep trying with it, honestly. Next is going to be my Marvel pick of the week. This is McKay, Cappuccio, and Rosenberg. Now, really, there were only two comics that were pretty much my picks of the week for Marvel that I was fighting between, and I'm going to show you both of them. But this is the one I picked, and it's Moon Knight. Now, okay, I'm giant in my bias towards Moon Knight, no doubt. What's up, Majin Chris? No doubt I'm very biased about Moon Knight. This one is building between a fight between the Moon Knights. Yes, there is more than one, and the way it is explained is because every person, most people is what they say, most people have two fists. That's the justification. I'm not even kidding. Let me get a sip real quick. I'm breaking things. I hope our mic is still working. Can you guys still hear us in YouTube land? I hope so. Attack of the Nerds. Will you guys be relocating? No, we will not be relocating. What has happened is just pretty much been the final coffin nail. I can't talk about it. If it comes to the point where I have to talk about it, I will, believe me, but it sucks, is all I'm going to say. Anyway, so back to Moon Knight. This is building towards a fight between Mark Spector, the OG Moon Knight, and, Hunter's Moon, the new character who is a doctor and also a Moon Knight for Khonshu, who feels like Mark Spector has lost his ways. Why? Because Mark Spector has taken in some vampires who were turned against their will, and he just expects him to kill him outright. Because that's, I don't know, the Khonshu thing? That's really cruel. And granted, Mark Spector has already punched Khonshu in the face. Like, him and his god have had some falling out. Let's be honest. The fact that he's still a Khonshu worshiper is very shocking to me. But, okay, where do you get in this? You get an amazing fight. And I mean amazing. Like, 3/4 of this book is the fight between Mark and Hunter's Moon. And if you are looking for the standard Moon Knight crazy sort of fight where he goes to some serious extremes, it kind of shocks people with his level of violence, you will not be disappointed. That's what we get here, and it's everything that we want as a Moon Knight fan. And God help me, if that show doesn't have this level of violence, I'm going to be disappointed. Because Moon Knight, let's be honest, like, I've seen Moon Knight take apart a banister and beat the crap out of people. I've seen him break down doors and beat them with the door. Parts of the door. Like, he's violent and so over the top, and that's what we want as Moon Knight fans. So give me more of that. It's greatness. It's greatness. No, we're good. We're good. We'll just keep rocking it. Sorry, guys, for the weird noises. Next is Al Ewing, Juan Frigeri. I'm almost certain I've pronounced that name wrong every single time. Juan Frigeri and Federico Bellini. What is happening?
My lodge.
Oh, okay. Give us a second. If you do that, we're gonna. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right, guys. Back to the show. Okay. This is Last Annihilation of Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, a couple of things to unpack about this Guardians of the Galaxy. This is the last part of this run. I'm happy about this for a lot of reasons. It was almost my pick of the week. It is very touching Guardians of the Galaxy issue for a lot of reasons. We do finally get to see them, the big fight between them and Dormammu. Doom is on their side, and he's come up with a plan that seems pretty damn good and involves some occult stuff, because if you're fighting Dormammu, why wouldn't you use magic? But it's a wild ride. On top of that, Rocket has a separate plan, that involves him building a big gun and shooting Dormammu in the face. And the way it plays out is amazing. Honestly, it's great. I had such a good time with it. Plus, I love this iteration of Star-Lord. I hope he never changes, because this is the best iteration of Star
They're
Lord.
playing the suit game.
Yeah. Oh, they are putting that suit in the game.
Yes.
Okay.
Sun Lord, Sun God.
Yeah, Sun God Star Lord. So I love that. On top of that, Star Lord has been, well, not really controversial. If you are a Guardians fan, you've known for a while that Peter Quill is bisexual. I mean, he's bisexual and most likely polyamorous, but you've known that for a while. I mean, like, he's a character that sort of reminds you of David Bowie, and you know he names his ship David Bowie at times, or not at times currently. So we get that confirmation in this, and you know it's a love triangle we all sort of knew was there, but it is very much confirmed and very much polyamorous. So if you're looking for that sort of representation, you get that in there, and it's done very respectfully, in my opinion. On top of that, the art is great and the storyline is outstanding. The final fight between Dormammu, Doom, the Doombots, the Guardians is so good. And as far as Guardians comics go, like this is how I want a giant arc to wrap up with Guardians of the Galaxy. It was grand. So I had a good time. I have nothing to complain about. It was almost my pick of the week, so do not skip that book. It is outstanding. Another book that was very close to my pick of the week that I only have the variant for some reason. Oh, it's the Miles Morales variant. Have you seen this?
Yeah, I got that one.
Anyways, this is Doctor Strange, The Death of Doctor Strange. Now, we all knew Doctor Strange was going to die, but I had assumed it was going to be like messing with Mephisto trying to save Parker's soul, because we all saw that happening, and we were like, Nick Spencer, you've already broken us in several ways with this run. Why not do that? No, this does involve the death of Doctor Strange, but what happens, the fail-safe that happens at the end, I did not see coming. Did you see that coming, Cam?
No.
Didn't see it coming a mile off. It's great. It's really cool. What we're gonna see is something we haven't. Yeah, I can't spoil it. I can't really word it funny to like pull off a pun or something because I'll spoil it. But it's so cool. And on top of that, like just to see that come to pass is really worth it. So it's great. We're getting a murder mystery. We don't know who killed Doctor Strange, but obviously it's someone who's powerful. So who's it gonna be? And it's fun. The whole comic is fun. The beginning of it centers around Bats getting Doctor Strange up for walkies, but not because Bats needs to go on walkies, but because like he wants Doctor Strange to live a long life. Aww, it's very touching. Yeah. Next is Cantwell, Wong, Lim, Nishijima, Smith, Hana, and Mia, and we're talking about the United States of Captain America. Oh God, guys, we need to talk about this issue. It was great. One, we do get the I can't say final fight because there's one more issue, but we do get a giant fight in this. Who do you think is the villain?
Is it Battlestar?
Not Battlestar.
Sorry.
But who do you think it could be? I mean, if Cap's fighting it,
Red Skull, right? US agent?
well, it's some kind of Nazis, right?
Hey, when you guys leave? 12 o'clock.
4 o'clock?
12 o'clock.
12?
Noon.
Until when?
6.
6. Till 6? Okay, all right, I'll come back next 6.
Every time. Yeah, every time. Like you're obviously doing something, and you gotta interrupt, dude. Like I can't. It never makes sense. It happens every single time, dude.
That was so weird.
Yeah, and it's always like you see us doing something.
Yeah. Sorry.
God. Anyways, okay. So we do get a final fight. The other Caps do come out of the woodwork. The other Caps do come out of the woodwork in the fight. It's great. Honestly, we get a drunk U.S. agent in this, not being as annoying as he usually is. I actually kind of liked this version of U.S. agent. And I'm saying that as somebody who I didn't like the beginning of the last US Agent run because I've never liked the character, and by the end of that run, I was like, well, it's kind of fun. No, I can't deny it. So I had a good time with that. We do get to see the other Caps fight, the ones who he's sort of encountered in the middle of this, and it feels good. Feels pretty damn good. So this run, everyone was unsure about it, and I've had just the best time with it. I think it's a great comic, and issue 4, don't skip. That next one, issue 5, is going to be the last one. Dark Blood, this is Latoya Morgan and Moises Hidalgo and AHG. We get more backstory on how he got his powers, and more importantly, why people are hunting him. And, you know, it does show some of his time in service and him being shot down in a plane. It's really, really fun. The art is great. The story is fun. I wanted just a bit more action in this comic. I don't know what it was. It felt like the last issue was building up towards something. And we did get the backstory, but I wanted like a lot more action in this issue. But it was fun. Cam, have you been buying Dark Blood?
I just got into it. I've read 1 and 2.
What do you think of it?
I enjoy it.
It's a good comic, but the end of issue 3, I was like, okay, well, we got that, but now I want some action. I didn't get enough of it. That's all I'm going to say. I don't hate it by any means. It's a great comic, and I do not think you will be disappointed with it. And if you've been reading it.
When I read number 1, I was like, okay, this is different. I read number 2, I was like, oh, okay, what's going to happen in number 3?
Well, yeah, and number 1, the way it ended too was like, it was going one way, and you were like, oh, this is shitty, and then it like did a complete 180, and you're like, this is badass. Like, so next is Spurrier, Quinn, and Tartaglia, and we're talking about X-Men, the Onslaught Revelation, and this is a continuation of, what was it called? The
Way of X.
The Way of X, where Nightcrawler and Legion, of all people, were trying to establish the mutant religion and had found out that Onslaught had tainted every one of the rebirths in the hatcheries. So every single person was infected with Onslaught, to include Xavier and Magneto. So yeah, kind of a huge problem. And Legion, I mean, if you're gonna have all the chips down and the 2 people you need to rely on to save the day, I think Nightcrawler and Legion, although the weirdest combination, is the biggest wild card you could tap, right? Yeah. And they worked so well. Like, that whole comic was amazing. If you haven't read it, yeah, like, honestly, Dom, you need to pick that issue or that trade up, because it was really good.
But how they work here?
Well, Legion was just being Legion, but like at one point, like he was above the hatchery, and Xavier's like you see his spirit waiting to or his psyche waiting to be put into his body,
yeah.
And Xavier's like, I won't do it. David's just too dangerous, and he's like, then fine, I'll do it myself, and just puts himself into his body and like gets reborn, and then he's walking around. What villains was he walking around with? Do you remember? I can't remember who it was, but he's flanked by 2 really powerful like villains.
Yeah.
And they're like, why are they here? And he's like, if I start to turn or my mind starts to like get away from me, they'll just kill me. And he's just walking around like that. So it worked so well. And like, whereas Nightcrawler was like struggling with like finding this faith and struggling with like a lot of like mutants throwing away their lives unnecessarily and stuff like that, Legion was just sort of like being able to cut through that sort of thing and just be as sharp and not like, it would seem profound, but just to the point. And it worked so well. So we get the finale of that. The art is really good. The story is great. The direction they went, like the person that Nightcrawler like captures and sort of pulls out first to deactivate everyone else. 1, it makes sense, and 2, it's kind of funny the way he does it. Like, it's the most Nightcrawler thing in the world. Like, he literally like bamps in, grabs someone, bamps out, and then just like does like bam, 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 bam. So they're like teleporting everywhere, and they're like, what the hell are you? Yeah, it's so good, dude. I loved it, and I'm so happy we get the ending, and I really, really hope that the entire trade is put together. We don't have to like have this separate from the trade, but who knows? This will also be leading to another New Mutant team, sort of. There is a non-mutant on that team, and I'm kind of excited about it.
We got a new mutant team?
What?
We got a new team?
No, not New Mutants, but a new team of mutants.
Without one.
without one mutant. Could you guess who it is?
Oh, okay.
Who is somebody tied to the mutants that actually isn't a mutant? A villain.
Can you say his name?
No.
No, we can't. We can't. We're not going to spoil it. So, anyways.
I'm okay. Oh, got it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I should have figured that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next is Philip Kennedy Johnson, Salvador LaRocca, and Guru Effects. This is Alien. New arc starts here. This is picking up after the ship crashed last time. Where did it crash? Do you remember?
It was on Earth, so they are.
It was Earth. And they're like terraforming when this starts. So they're doing like using an actual terraforming system to build like a farm and stuff like that before that ship crashes. And when it crashes, we know what's going to happen. I'm telling you what I think they're doing with this, and you can sort of see it from the cornfields and stuff like that. They're doing like a slasher film sort of aliens, like Friday the 13th type. Is what it feels
starts to
like.
like explore the horror genre through the aliens.
That's what it feels like. It feels like a horror crossover, and I'm really digging it. Like, it's great. It's a good opening. It's the same art that you're getting in the last run. There's no difference. The art is great. The story's fun, and I really really enjoyed that last comic. So I want to know where this is going. And I'm not the biggest Aliens fan, but I think you guys have won me over. Next is Dugan, Laraz, and Gracia, and we're talking about X-Men. Now, all these X-Men books they've been pretty good. What is it, the last two? The first one was like, hey, the X-Men are back. Did you know the X-Men are back? Look at the Fantastic Four. The X-Men are back. They're back, baby. We're back, baby.
Excellent. Yeah.
The second one felt more like an X-Men comic and that they were tackling something. This one, they are dealing with, what's his name? The High Evolutionary, who has at one point kidnapped Rogue, and it's pissed her off, and she's not really one to piss off. And the High Evolutionary decides he's going to land on Arakko.
I'm not surprised.
That's not a good idea, though.
It's not, but I'm not surprised.
So anyways, the X-Men are there to greet him, and it's honestly great. Like, the fight was awesome. The way it played out was great. The ending was like, oh, we've created a worse problem to solve this problem. And we all know they have, and that's a very typical X-Men thing, too. So it was great. As far as X-Men comics go, like, this is some top-tier stuff. Jerry Dugan is really just knocking it out of the park, is all I got to say. More importantly, you do get to see X-23's Wolverine get pretty mouthy and defensive, and I like that too. That's great. So we will have that on our shelves. Come get it. Next is a book. Look, I didn't like it. It wasn't my jam, and I'm not going to pull any punches here. This is London and Panda, and this is from the Action Lab Danger Zone. This is the S Factor. Now, look, I'm going to break this book down and explain it to you the easiest way I can. This is, what if Superman was on The Bachelor? That's what this is. Guy quits a super team, decides to go on reality TV and have a bunch of superpowered women compete for a date with him.
Oh, God.
I hate it. Thanks.
The disc pick of the week?
Oh, God, the disc pick of the week. Wow. The one thing I will tell you guys was the art was pretty good. I like the art. I have nothing to complain about the art. The premise for the book sucks. I'm sorry. And I can see it, too. Like, somebody pitched that in a room, and they were like, okay, what if we did Superman goes on The Bachelor? And they're like, brilliant! Fire it up! The pages write themselves. I hate it so much. Next is a book I loved by Action Lab, and this is going to be my pick of the week, and this is McFarlane and Jovic, and this is The Citizen. So this is my indie pick of the week. Why is it my indie pick of the week? Well, it's unique in a really fun way. The main character is a non-superpowered human who is living in a city filled with supervillains and superpowers. Literally everyone else in the city has superpowers and is either clicked up hero or clicked up villain. And that's it. Like, so he's like, working his desk job, and like all of a sudden something happens and everybody clears out and goes like, I need to go to the bathroom and change and take off. And then like he winds up being attacked by villains and being saved by like somebody he works with, and this person is like, "Oh, let me walk you home every day," and like everybody's trying to help because he's the only innocent to help, really, and it sucks, and he hates it, and he's angry at the world, and he's angry at his life, but he's not mad that he's missing superpowers. He just wants people to piss off, and I love it. There is a level of cynicism in this character that appeals to me so much. I loved it. The art was great. The story was unique. I haven't seen something like this before. It was fun. I mean, you're doing something different with superheroes where you have the normal tropes and you're using them to work with it while doing something different. It's grand. So, Indie Pick of the Week, The Citizen, don't skip it. It's outstanding. Next is a book that was almost my Indie Pick of the Week, but I picked it as my Indie Pick of the Week before multiple times. C. Lee, Howard and Howard, Promanek and Howell, Gooden, Duke, and Andworld, and we're talking about Vampire the Masquerade, Winter's Teeth, and this is the wrap-up for Winter's Teeth. It's issue number 10. Oh, God, was it good. I thought we were done with the twist. Like, the primogen she had taken, or the student she had taken to mentor the young vampire, it turned out she was being trained by vampire hunters and was converted by her dad. So there was a huge betrayal, and I thought, like, oh, we've got the betrayal out, and that'll be that. Like, that's the end of it. Like, we're going to see this giant fight between hunters and vampires. That's it. No, there was one more twist. So that's like 6 or 7 twists in the story, like, while I was reading it. Like, this was a World of Darkness spectacular story that just, it went back and forth, and it played the vampire politics well. And it wasn't like, where I was like, I know there's going to be a betrayal, but I didn't see it coming more than a couple times. Like, the betrayals were good, and they were timed well. And there were a couple of surprises on top of that. Like, some people, I don't know, I can't spoil it. This is an amazing comic. If you haven't been reading it, you need to start. I would say don't start with the finale. Go back and get the trades and see how you like it. But, oh, God, the ending was great. But the ending, I'm happy to say, Winter's Teeth, although being the final issue of Winter's Teeth, is leading to a new one called Crimson Thaw. Well, what is that? Well, if you know World of Darkness, you know that there is not just Vampire the Masquerade. There's Vampire the Masquerade. There's Mage the Ascension. There's Ghost one. I can't remember how that one works. There's a Demon one. They all have rules, in case you didn't know. Like, the mages can't do magic in front of people or they suffer paradox, but they talk about Ascension, which is all of mankind, like, rising up and learning magic. But how do you convince them to do this if you can't talk about it? They have these good twists to each of the brands. The next one is going to involve Werewolf the Apocalypse. The werewolves actually stave off the apocalypse by protecting some nodes. But the problem is dark stuff gravitates towards there, and they hate vampires. So, yeah. So we're going to see an encounter with werewolves, and it's going to be great. This is, honestly, it's great writing, and I'm glad that we're going to get another Vampire the Masquerade brand, or another World of Darkness brand. It's going to be awesome. Next is another book I love, but I thought this was the last one. I thought they were only doing 3 issues. I guess it's concluding next time, but this is TMNT, The Last Ronin. Now, there is so much good with this. If you were a TMNT fan and grew up reading TMNT like I did, you're going to see a lot that you know, like Metalhead and, like, you know, a bunch of other references. Plus, Mikey himself, although he is using some new weapons, he's also using the old weapons of his brothers, and it feels like it's a fitting tribute. Meanwhile, Casey Jones and April, although Casey is dead, Casey has a daughter named Casey. Is she Casey Jr. then? Yeah, I don't know how that works.
Same middle name, yeah.
Okay. Anyways, but is it great? Yeah, it's awesome. The writing's really fun. Bitter Mikey is good, but we're also going to see how, you know, some of his brothers. We do get to see how Donnie sort of met his end in this universe, and you know, it's beautiful. It's fun. It's really, really good writing. But this is Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird just doing their victory lap on what was an amazing time in the 90s comic scene. And so, yeah, do not skip The Last Ronin. Is it my pick of the week? No, it's a close second. Not as good as its first one. The first one was amazing. Next is Thomas, I'm going to murder this last name, and I'm sure sorry, man. Thomas Orlategui and Von Grabadger Lucas. And maybe I nailed them. I don't know. This is Aquaman the Becoming. The 7 Seas ain't seen nothing yet. And if you don't know who this is, who is this, Cam? Jackson Hyde, who is the son of Black Manta, one of Aquaman's biggest villains. And he was formerly known as Aqualad.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or for those of you who don't read comics and only know it by Young Justice, it's Calvert.
Yeah. So, and is it great? Yes, actually, it's amazing. As far as opening comics go, there is just a ton of action. We do get some Titans references, which we love. I mean, there's honestly a really, really good Titan scene that just feels right. We do get some awkward exchanges between him and his mom. I think it's his mom. Yeah, it's his mom. Yeah. And does she know about his sexuality?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
His in the comics, I don't think so, but on Young Justice, because that's where else he's been showing up, yes.
Okay, so she definitely picks up on something and grills someone on it, and it was really good. The writing is great. The dialogue is fun. The action was amazing. The art is outstanding, and I mean, like, really, really good art. I'm gonna say that it's almost not quite Jamal Campbell, but it feels like that Naomi run with that level of art. It's really, really good. The way the artist uses light and shadow, especially involving like scenes of coming out of the water and stuff like that, is just grand. So yeah, really, really good issue. Not my pick of the week. Close second, not my pick of the week. Next is Selev, Collins, and Kalinsk. And this is Suicide Squad King Shark. Now, I love this for all the wrong reasons, maybe. King Shark stuff was great. The art, in my opinion, it was too gritty for this comic. I don't know. We established King Shark as a rather fun character. There's a bunch of new fans, and it just feels like they could have went a little bit less grit on the art. But I'm just nitpicking. The story, the reason it's fun is, well, it centers around a new character who winds up on Task Force X because she was doing graffiti and had rocket power boots. It's so weird. And so Amanda Waller's like, you're useless. Like, you have no powers. You're worthless to me. But King Shark is your friend. So I'm going to throw you into a situation in this mission. And if you die, you die. But if you go against me, I'll blow up your head. And then King Shark will be mad. Like, that's how I'll get back at King Shark. So it's brutal. Amanda Waller, you are my favorite a-hole in all of the DC universe. You always are. You're one of my favorite characters. You're very stunted. Amanda Waller is like the Punisher of the DC universe. You realize that, right? She has zero issues with killing anyone. She's so brutal, and she never changes. Never. I've never seen her suddenly, like, it would be a Grinch come to light moment if she ever, like, just said, you know what, I'm sorry. Right? Next is Sheridan, Henry, and Myolo, and we're talking about Shazam from the pages of Teen Titans Academy in the clutches of Neron. If you don't know who Neron is, it's a demon who eats kids' souls, I think is who it is, if I remember correctly. And we've been dealing with Billy Batson in hell. He's in hell trying to get to the Rock of Eternity, which is trapped there, so he's sort of lost his powers. Meanwhile, he's got a friend who's been tapped to help him with that, and he's sort of befriended a gal who turns out she's the daughter of a giant demon who's an angry dad, who's like, I got a shotgun and I'm coming for this boy. It was a really fun read. The way it ended surprised me for like a ton of reasons. One, we're gonna see a certain villain, I think in kid form, that I've never seen before, at least a young form. So we see that. On top of that, well, the ending had a surprise Titans character appear that I didn't see coming. It was really good. You will love it if you read it. The art is amazing, like really, really good art. The story is fun. It went in directions I didn't expect. So yeah, it's a good comic. Oh wow. Okay, a little out of order. In our DC stack, I've accidentally mixed a Marvel book in there. So we're going to talk about Howard Foch and Go. X-Corps. Anyways, so this is the wrap-up for the X-Corps run. We saw last time that pretty much X-Corps had sort of been betrayed by a certain, well, let's just call them Nazi twins. Like that's what they are. They're Nazis that are twins that know that their powers grow when they're together, and they've teamed up to wage war on X-Corps and sort of slam mutant kind. That's the plan. On top of that, well, I mean, we get mad scientist Jamie Madrox running through and doing what he does, and I love everything with Multiple Man in. And the actual apex of this, the big fight, look, you're getting a giant book of action, and oh god, did it feel right. And X-Corps was one of those books where it was like, it was a strong start, and then a couple of the issues were like, okay, I could use a little more action, but I see what they're doing here. This is how you end a storyline. It was really, really good. And this is the last X-Corps, isn't it?
Yep.
But something else is going to happen at the end of this. It's wild. They're setting the stage for a big villain that we all kind of know is coming from mutants. It's something on the horizon. But we'll get back to the DC books now. And this is going to be my DC pick of the week. Taylor, Rodriguez, and Lucas. And that is Nightwing Fear State. Now, why is it my pick of the week? Well, one, the art is so good. Like, honestly, Nightwing right now is a master class in how you do art in the comic scene. The story is outstanding. We're dealing with the Fear State stuff. I don't much care for Fear State, if I'm honest. The premise for it is, well, the Joker's not the Joker, Scarecrow's gassing the city again. Whoop-de-whoop. I don't care for the reason for the action. What I do care about is Nightwing basically gets the wrong message and winds up in the alley. I think it's the alley where Batman's parents were killed and gets ambushed. And if you can't tell from the cover, obviously Batman gets involved, but the exchange between Nightwing and Batman in this is very beautiful. And as somebody who is an adopted kid by my stepdad, whom I loved very dearly, it really, really hit home. And so that's my pick of the week. The art is more than worthy of being my pick of the week, but the story is great. Yeah. So definitely come pick that up. Next is Adams, Deuce, and Sinclair, and we're talking about the Flash. Now it says not my daughter, and so it centers around, well, which Flash? What do you think? No, not Barry Allen.
Oh,
yeah, Wally West. Wally West is his daughter. Because, I mean, red hair.
Yeah.
So it centers around that. Now, I will tell you that the cover sort of sells it as like it's just going to be nonstop speedsters. It's not. It's dealing with a new villain that has nightmare powers that is not really someone I know all that well. And the way it gets handled is kind of weird. As far as Flash books are concerned, like this new Flash stuff has been great. But this one kind of sort of missed the mark. It wasn't as entertaining as the other ones were. I mean, we had like Quantum Leap Flash going on for like the last few issues. Did you read those? They were insane, dude. Like he was like leaping into speedsters' bodies.
Yeah, Ken was telling me about it. I haven't had a chance to read
it. It was really good. This one, it kind of missed the mark. It didn't really hit home for me. Now, is it a bad Flash comic? No. And I think if you're a father with a daughter, Yogi, it'll probably hit home to you. But it just wasn't the best read of the week, is all I'm going to say. Next is V, Vakueva, and Bel Air, and we're talking about Catwoman Fear State. Now, the one most interesting thing about this whole Fear State run has been what's going on with Ivy. She's like split into multiple people and has like multiple, like, they're very different personalities. And so there's weirdness going on with that. And yeah.
I'm not mistaken. Wasn't there like a character in Harley Quinn on the Harley Quinn run named the Gardener or something like that?
Yeah, there's a character named the Gardener.
And isn't Ivy her, and that's why we're watching that split in multiple.
Yeah, so there is the younger Ivy is working with her, but then there's the Queen Ivy, and there's not really two explanations. There's two Ivies. Well, and there's another.
Ivy in the green.
What?
There's that Ivy that's attached to the green.
Yeah.
And Swamp Thing too.
Yeah, there is. No, that's the same one. That's the young Ivy.
Oh.
Yeah, so she's all over the place. Like she doesn't quite make sense. Meanwhile, there's Queen Ivy, who is just like, I'm ruling all of under Gotham, and I can rise up and destroy everything in a second. So that's going on. So I'm more interested in all of that. And there's a guy running around that there's not really an explanation for that we saw like one issue during the Swamp Thing stuff. So there's a lot of weirdness going on. But one thing that I loved about this, at the beginning of this issue of Catwoman, there is Clayface, And if you don't know about Clayface's like change, at the beginning of Rebirth, Batman gave him a watch that sort of like regulated his mental health and made his brain less pliable so that he could reason out what he was doing was wrong and stuff like that. So Clayface became like a hero and somebody who made like ultimate sacrifice plays to help Batman and to do what was right at the beginning of Detective Comics Rebirth. And so we get that Clayface sitting there talking to the villains about redemption and what needs to be done in Fear State and how to step up to it. And it's beautiful. It was a really, really good opening. But we also get, a little bit more of that Poison Ivy mystery that's going on. We get Catwoman sort of down and out in Alleytown. It's just a really, really good comic. Not my pick of the week. Damn good fine read, though. Next is Taylor, Kubert, Hope, and Anderson. We're talking about Batman the Detective. Now, Batman the Detective, Cam, you don't like this book. It's kind of weird. He's sort of off in France, like doing his own thing, working with a former mentor that I don't know all that well, dealing with like a mystery, and he sees him get killed, and there's white versions of Batman fighting, but we already have a white version of Batman in Ghostmaker, right?
Kind of.
Yeah, so it's okay. This isn't gonna win you over if you've been not feeling that. I mean, it's kind of, we get a little bit of answers as to how the other anti-Batmans, I guess you call them, how they came to be. Do you care as a Batman fan? I'm one of the biggest Batman fans around, and even I am like, I don't care. It was okay. I mean, there was some action. It wasn't my favorite book of Batman this week. Next is Tinian, Jimenez, and Mori, and we're going to talk about my favorite book of Batman this week. And that is the mainline Batman Fear State. Now, we're going to get a little backstory on this, a little bit of backstory on Jonathan Crane, and a little bit of backstory on Ghostmaker. And those two actually have history. So, yeah, it's intriguing. More importantly, we get Ghostmaker and Batman's banter, which has really made it for me. At one point, Batman is digging through a box, and in the box is like the Court of Owls mask and like a Talon mask and a couple other trinkets. And I'm like, and Batman's like, I should show you everything that's in this box. it's like a buddy like showing his other buddy his collectibles and stuff like that. It's a great read. The art is great. The story is great. I'm having a good time with it. And that's why this is my favorite of the Batman books this week. I mean, Tinian's really hit a stride. There is another Batman book this week, sort of. It centers around a side character that I like. In fact, I'll just do it right now. It's Tinian, Danny, and Lowridge. It's Miracle Molly. Now, Miracle Molly's origin is weird. So she's with the Insanity Collective, which is basically, they go around high rises, like sort of like a successful version of Kite Man, like robbing the rich. Robbing the rich to give to the poor. But like they're twisted, like they have a lot of high tech, they're very sort of strange, like they've been branded as villains. And we come to find out how she's come to be that way. And the way she's come to be that way is strange. Like she actually like hooks her head up to a machine and like loses her memory of her life that she hates. But look, I'm going to tell you flat out, as somebody who struggles with the digital age and at times feels like drowning in the digital age, I really identified with this character. Like, it was a good read. And Tinian's dialogue is brilliant. Like, I feel like what she did, as somebody who also struggles with memory issues, what she did was ridiculous. Like, you shouldn't give up a part of yourself to become something new. You should accept yourself to become something new. But okay, that this is a superhero origin or a hero origin, and I didn't hate it. The art, I think the art was, in my opinion, like, well, it was good. It was good. It felt too gritty at times. Again, I'm being an art snob. It's fine.
I just mentioned that you compared yourself to Miracle Molly, and you compared Miracle Molly to Kite Man.
To Kite Man.
So now you're comparing yourself to Kite Man.
I'm okay with that. Like, he'll tell you, I actually like Kite Man. Like, I feel like Kite Man's story, especially in Rebirth, like, Kite Man's story was so sad.
It is. And watching the Harley Quinn show on.
Oh, does he get broken on that too? I haven't seen it.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I know he gets, his heart broken. I know that. But, like, yeah. One of the things, I brought it up before, but one of my favorite things is during City of Bane, where all the like everybody's on the run because like Bane is using Psycho Pirate to like brainwash everyone, like all the villains and stuff. Like Kite Man, and I think who was it that was with him? Was it Scarecrow? No, a Penguin or someone. Kite Man and somebody else like go to his like kite headquarters. It's like in the sky, and they're like, "Kite Man, is this place safe?" And he's like, "Well, I built it, so no." it's so good. I love him as a villain. Like he's really one of my favorite villains. He's not even a villain. Like he's just a guy who broke his mind and now builds kites and like rides around saying "Kite Man" and occasionally robs like rich people that are annoying.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Next is King Evelyn Lopez, and we're talking about Supergirl, World of Tomorrow. Now I am a Tom King fan. I love Tom King. I'm just not having the best time with this run, and I can't put my finger on it. Are you?
No,
Have you been reading it?
no, but I commented on
Oh, have you liked his assessment of it?
I mean, he likes it. I'm not a fan of the whole super.
Yeah, I'm not really having the. I get what King's doing. He's sort of doing like it's like Lone Wolf and Cub. She's kind of gotten adopted, not really adopted gal, but a gal she's helping, and a younger gal who looks up to her. She's sort of taking around, and meanwhile she's solving problems of like other planets, and it's okay. The narration's pretty good. It's just the story's not all that. I don't know. I'm not really bonding with it. I can't put my finger on why. I really love King. I'm a King fanboy. It is what it is. That issue will not change your mind, is what I'm going to say. Next is Scout Comics. This is Tom Lintern. Mullet Cop. I loved this book. Mullet Cop. Look, this book is some of the best comedy. I laughed, I think, 7 or 8 times while reading this. I'm going to break this down for you and put it to you really simply. This is Blade Runner. No, not Blade Runner. What was that movie where Arnold Schwarzenegger is on a game show in the future?
You're right about the runner part.
Is it Blade Runner?
No, it's not Blade Runner. It's
Who's gonna? The guy's like, "Who loves you?
Yeah.
And who do you love?"
I mean, dude, that's a great movie. Running Man.
Running Man. Running Man. Thank you. Okay, so this is Running Man meets Beavis and Butthead. I'm not kidding, and the art looks like that. Like it looks like Mike Judd's art. Like it centers around a mall security guard that gets targeted by a gang, and so they give him a makeover, and the makeover is like, well, hey, I'm back. I look normal, but you've changed my hair. Yeah, we've given you a mullet. Well, can you not give me a mullet? No, they'll know what you look like then. Like, he's got a Segway with, like, guns mounted on it, and they turn his Segway into a microwave. There is so much weirdness and good and comedy, and I laughed I don't know how many times, and you're getting... It's like a trade paperback of comic from Scout Comics for how much? $7.99. This is a good deal. It is legitimately funny. Like you will laugh multiple times, and I know it sounds like the weirdest premise, but they made it work. They made it work well. Next is a book that also made me laugh a couple times. Kessel, Han, Avina, and Comicraft. Scout Comics. What are you doing these days? You're getting pretty good. Impossible Jones. Now, Impossible Jones is. She's got a lot of powers, and she's sort of like tangling with villains, and it's typical superhero stuff. But then we get a hero who's a pole vaulter and is pole vaulting from roof to roof. The dialogue also made me laugh a couple times. Like, as far as heroes go, Impossible Jones is a little questionable, I'd say. She makes some weird choices, and I'm intrigued. I want to know where it's going. It was a fun read. The art is actually great. The art was really good. At first, I thought for sure, looking at this cover, I was like, oh, we're going to get a little bit of like the Zenoscope generic type stuff. And no, it was pretty standard fun. Like, it was not bad art. The story's fun. The characters are what takes it away. The characters are hella campy. And I mean, like, what if not just Batman villains were campy, but the Batman heroes were just as campy all the time? Like, that's what you get. This is a book of, like, if you really love Kite Man, you're going to get a lot of Kite Man level stuff in this, and it works for whatever reason. It's fun. That's our show for this week. Do you have anything else to add, Cam? Please come pick up your books because they're not going to be here much longer, and neither are we. I'm sad to say that again, but we've only got a few weeks left, and if you don't pick up your books, when we get to last week, like it's going to be Friday the week before, we're going to clear out everyone's boxes and put all of that up. So if you are somebody who likes our box of shame and wants to pick up some stuff that you wouldn't normally be able to get, that last week is going to be your time. But if you are somebody else who wants your collection, if you don't come pick it up by then, we are not responsible for it after that. So come pick it up by this is the week before we get out. So the 6th, I think it is. Yep. 6th, 7th, 8th. 8th. Yeah. 8th. The Friday, the 8th of October. If you don't pick it up by then, your stuff is going into the box of shame, and we're sorry. Anything else to add, Yogi?
I mean, really at this point, you don't know how. Yeah, nothing to add.
Nothing to add. We love you guys, and we're sorry things went this way. I wish I had better answers for you guys. I really have nothing. We'll see you next week, though. 2 more weeks of shows, we promise. Maybe. I mean, who knows with all the wild cards we've